What if everything you saw on that doorbell camera was a performance? What if the real crime did not happen inside Nancy Guthrie's home at all? What if the blood, the open door, the masked figure with the potted plant, all of it was staged? What if Nancy was already gone before that man ever walked onto that porch? Dr. Ann Burgess said that out loud, on camera, in front of two other criminal experts.
Do you think the intruder covered the camera because they were afraid of being seen? Until, not the face. It was the red taillight of an unknown car flashing for exactly 2 seconds in the blind spot. And I will prove it. It was deleted in just 2 seconds. That's enough to hide. Direction of departure meeting point, and the thing that the camera authorized, recorded. Now, 104 days. Then Nancy Guthrie vanished, as if she had evaporated from her home in Tucson, Arizona. 104 days. That was around the time Nancy Guthrie, an elderly mother, completely disappeared from her quiet home in Tucson, Arizona, without a trace, without explanation. But the most shocking turning point in the case has just emerged, not in the physical evidence, but in a highly unusual administrative decision. The local sheriff's office abruptly cut off direct contact with the Guthrie family. All exchanges are now being handled exclusively by the FBI. In serious missing person cases, who works with the family is never a minor detail. The family is key to the timeline, the source of context, and the pressure of public opinion. When local investigators decide to step back, the question is no longer, what did they find, but rather, why was the communication line changed? When the FBI gets involved, the truth may get closer or disappear forever. Is the FBI protecting crucial classified information, or are they quietly diverting the investigation to a hidden corner unknown to the public? This silence is not merely a formality. It's a sign the case is taking a completely different turn. Time is the most ruthless enemy of any investigator. Each passing day adds another layer of dust to the crime scene. Camera footage is overwritten. Witnesses begin to forget, and crucial clues gradually vanish into thin air. Amidst this deadlock, a single strand of hair is suddenly found, opening up an opportunity for genetic testing technology. Everyone thinks this is the last lifeline to turn the tide. But in the world of crime solving, the most powerful tool is often the one most likely to manipulate our psychology. To understand this suffocating atmosphere, let's look directly at the classic psychological formula that's trapping investigators: the chilling nature of the clue. In forensic science, DNA evidence has no concept of time. It is simply a silent trace that leaves a message. I've been here before, but I would absolutely never make a statement like that. I am the one who committed the crime that night. The context trap: imagine that the mysterious strand of hair had actually just accidentally fallen from an innocent air conditioner repairman 2 days before Nancy disappeared. If investigators hastily pinned it to the timeline of that fateful night, the entire investigation would immediately spiral into a wrong corridor, wasting thousands of hours searching for an unrelated ghost. The peak of fear. And that's the most chilling truth. While the whole world is frantically clinging to a piece of the puzzle that's been placed out of context, the real culprit is calmly celebrating in the shadows. Because from the moment they obscured the cameras, they successfully manipulated the entire memory and timeline of the investigation, turning what was called the last hope into a perpetual labyrinth with no way out. The investigating agency has just issued a chilling statement. If the laboratory reports that nothing more can be extracted from that DNA sample, this case will officially become a closed case. Cold case. Those two words are not simply a legal term. They are the sound of an iron door slowly closing, slow, heavy, and cold. When a case is hot, everything is in motion. Phones ring constantly, data is fresh, witness memories are clear. But when it's labeled a cold case, that coldness envelops everything. Cold case equals not that the investigation is over, but rather that no one prioritizes her anymore. At this point, the most painful question becomes, what if we never find it? Looking at DNA isn't enough, because this case also possesses another massive data trove: video. Thousands of clips from traffic cameras, residential areas, businesses, and even doorbells. The current police method involves manual sorting white trucks in one group, red sedans in another, waiting to be matched when a suspect is spotted. It sounds very standardized. But forensic experts are raising a bold question. Why wait until there's a suspect before searching for the car? Why not do the opposite? Why not start right from the golden time window in the core area and the exits at the exact moment all traces disappear? A face can vanish behind a black cloth, but vehicles don't lie. Cars have specific mechanical shapes, lighting systems, colors, directions of travel, and speeds. If camera A is dark at 147 and camera B captures the red sedan at 153 at intersection X, which route must the car be taking? Let's rewind to the moment he stood before that door. The figure appeared incredibly calm, face-covered hands, clad in gloves, moving without a hint of panic. He seemed completely unafraid of being seen, as he had stood there long enough to meticulously handle the camera. What he truly wanted absolute control over was the frame. In criminology, this is known as narrative control, the power to control the story. The perpetrator isn't simply erasing his tracks. He's playing the role of a villain, the mastermind behind it all. He personally crafted the scenario that the scene would later recount to the investigators. They forced us all to stare at the man at the door, completely blind to what actually happened afterward. The trail ended where a car might have been waiting. The story instantly shifted from the private space to the space of transportation. People can fabricate testimony, but the laws of physics don't. A car cannot leave point A and appear at point B faster than its maximum speed. The experts are no longer asking, who is the person in the video? They asked a far more dangerous question. Immediately after the camera went dark, what left the area? The content in this video is for informational and reference purposes only. Although it has been cross-referenced with reputable sources, some details may have changed or may not be entirely accurate. The case is currently at a crossroads where three major theories clash violently. Targeted abduction. Who knew Nancy was there? Who knew the exact timing, the camera's blind spots, and the perfect approach? If there was a specific target, the core question would be, was the target Nancy herself? Or, what she was representing? Lone operator A single person carried it out. Two could betray, but one could remain silent forever and drag the entire story into the shadows. But to manipulate the entire scene alone without leaving a trace, this person must be utterly cold-blooded and absolutely confident. The presence of a perfect predator. Burglary gone wrong. This scenario sounds the simplest. But theft is about controlling property, while kidnapping is about controlling a person. A typical thief wouldn't suddenly upgrade their target to a much more dangerous and complex plan unless that variable was part of the plan from the start. Looking at DNA isn't enough because this case also possesses another massive data trove video. Thousands of clips from traffic cameras, residential areas, businesses, and even the doorbell cameras of people's homes. Thousands of camera angles, thousands of vehicles speeding by on that fateful night. The current method used by investigators is manual categorization: white trucks into one group, red sedans into another. They are creating a huge catalog of vehicles in anticipation. The goal is that when a specific suspect appears, they will go back and compare the vehicle's route to see where that person has traveled. It sounds very logical and standardized, but forensic experts posed a bold question, completely reversing the traditional investigative process. Why wait until there's a suspect before searching for the car? Why not do the opposite? Instead of being passive, why not start right from the golden window of time, from the core of the case, from the possible escape routes, and from the very vehicles that left the isolated area at the moment? All traces disappeared. While it's easy to conceal a person's face on camera, a car can't hide itself so easily. A face can disappear completely behind a black cloth. A figure can be distorted by a loose coat to deceive witnesses. But cars don't lie. A vehicle has a mechanical shape, specific lighting system, characteristics, color, model year, direction of travel, and speed. In the world of crime investigation, sometimes just a tiny detail like the streak of light from a taillight reflected through a blurry lens is enough to reconstruct an entire trail spanning tens of kilometers. If the car is traveling at a maximum speed of 60 kilometers per hour, it will only cover approximately 6 kilometers in 6 minutes. Numbers like that hold up well. Let's go back to the moment the camera was mysteriously obscured. If we think in reverse, a shocking theory emerges. The camera wasn't covered to hide the person. It was covered to hide what was waiting behind that person. The person standing in the doorway might just be a pawn thrown out to distract attention, while the car hidden outside the frame is the real key to the missing answer. If camera A is dark at 147 and camera B captures the red sedan at 153 at intersection X, which route must the car be taking? Rewind time back to that fateful moment standing before that door. A figure appears. Observe his movements closely. Extremely calm face, concealed hands clad in gloves. He moves with calculated precision without the slightest chaos, the haste or panic of an amateur caught off guard. And this is the detail that would give anyone who witnessed it goosebumps. Based on in-depth behavioral analysis, this mysterious individual appears to. He wasn't afraid of being seen at all. Why? Because he stood there for too long. He calmly manipulated the camera, created obstructions, and executed each step with incredible precision. If he were truly terrified of his face being captured on camera, he wouldn't have spent so much time there. If this were just a panicked petty thief, his actions wouldn't have been so cold and precise. Narrative control, the power to control the story. So the core question here is, what exactly is he trying to control? Not his face, not his hands, not even the clothes he's wearing. What he wants absolute control over is the frame he personally set up the cameras, allowed to see, and what the camera absolutely no recording is allowed. In criminology, this is called narrative control, control over the narrative. The perpetrator isn't simply erasing evidence or controlling the physical crime scene. He's acting as a director crafting the script that the scene will later tell investigators. A surveillance camera is more than just a recording device. More profoundly, it's a tool for creating original memory for a case. When someone covers a camera at a precisely calculated moment down to the second, they're not just disabling a physical lens. They edit the entire memory and timeline of the investigation. They forced us all to stare at the man at the door completely blind to what actually happened afterward. It wasn't a typical escape, it was a masterful psychological manipulation scheme. From the scene to the chessboard of speed. The trail ended where a car might have been waiting. This detail immediately pushed the theory about the car to a whole new terrifying level. From that moment on, the story was no longer confined within the four walls of the house. It spilled out onto the street, shifting from private space, saying transport space. The case shifts from fixed evidence to a disappearing mobile vehicle speeding away into the night. And as the investigation turns to a single vehicle, it's no longer a story about a single individual, but a chase across a network. Streets, intersections, surveillance cameras, and physical boundaries. Physics doesn't lie. Humans can falsify testimony, but the laws of physics do not. A car cannot leave point A and appear at point B faster than its maximum speed. A route cannot simply vanish from the map. Even if license plates are obscured or blurred, the vehicle's direction of travel will always leave behind a data ghost. This is the point where the criminal investigation turns into a strategic chess game. Experts no longer waste time asking who is the person in the video. They asked a much more dangerous and practical question immediately after the camera went dark. What left the area? This question doesn't need a specific face. What it needs is time route and silence between the camera angles. That's the blind spot between this homeowner's camera and the next traffic camera where the car glides past without leaving a direct image, but inadvertently reveals its route through the pauses in time. The perpetrator may evade humans, but cannot escape the flow of time and space. 3 collision theories, the nature of truth. Nancy Guthrie's case currently stands at a crossroads where 3 major theories clash violently. Each path reveals a terrifyingly hidden psychological aspect. 1. Burglary goes wrong. This scenario sounds the simplest. An intruder is discovered and the situation spirals out of control. But simple doesn't mean accurate. Theft is control. Asset kidnapping is control. Human. These are 2 completely different behaviors, 2 different psychological states, and 2 completely different levels of risk. A typical thief wouldn't suddenly upgrade their target to a much more difficult, dangerous, and complex plan unless that variable was part of their initial calculations. 2. Targeted abduction. If this was a pre-planned kidnapping, a host of chilling questions would arise. Who knew Nancy would be there that night? Who knew the exact timing, the camera's blind spots, and the perfect approach? To pull this off, the perpetrator must have possessed a terrifying source of inside information. And if there was a specific target, the core question would be, is the real target Nancy, or is it what she's representing? 3. Lone operator final hypothesis. It was all done by a single person. In the criminal world, one person means the secret will live longer. 2 can betray, but 1 can remain silent forever and carry the entire story into the shadows. But to single-handedly manipulate the entire scene and timeline without leaving a trace, this person must be strong enough, well-prepared, extremely cold-blooded, and absolutely confident. This theory doesn't make us feel any better. It only transforms fear into a different form, the presence of a perfect predator. The truth lies in the panels. The ultimate horror of this case doesn't come from a single shocking clue. It comes from how small, bizarre details are fitting together. Local police suddenly fell silent, ceding the right to speak to the FBI. The DNA sample offered a glimmer of hope, but was lifeless, lacking any timeline. Thousands of videos were collected, but the answer remains elusive. A masked figure calmly manipulated the camera lens, showing no sign of panic. When you put all these pieces together, the nature of the scenario immediately changes completely. The core question is no longer, What did the camera record? It should be who planned and decided what the cameras were, not allowed to see. A truly horrific case isn't one that's shrouded in complete darkness. It's terrifying because it's only partially illuminated. That faint glimmer of light was just enough to grab our attention, but utterly powerless to help us grasp the whole picture. The perpetrator deliberately left behind vague pieces of information to mislead, causing the entire investigative force and the public to focus intently on a single point. And perhaps, this very suffocating ambiguity is the ultimate calculated goal from the very beginning. Do you think you're searching for the truth, or are you simply looking at the picture the director wants you to see? The final question is not, will DNA help identify the culprit good? Does the camera have facial recognition capabilities? Rather, if the lens is obscured to conceal a vehicle, then in which direction did that car disappear? By what route did it leave the scene? Where and at what moment did it come into the view of the next camera? Was it traveling alone, or was it being escorted by another vehicle? And most importantly, is the man standing at the door the whole story? Or is he just the only piece that a perfectly crafted script allows us to see? Because sometimes the person who appears on camera isn't the answer. He's just a figurehead. Smokescreen. It was released to manipulate the investigator's perception. If that's true, Nancy Guthrie's case didn't begin the moment the cameras went dark. It started long before that. In an elaborate plan on a trail-clearing route, and in an utterly cold decision, the camera had to be covered before the truth could emerge from the frame. If you were the investigator in this suffocating case, where would you begin? Leave a comment with just one letter and a brief reason. A, DNA. Are we betting on a mysterious genetic pattern even without a specific time frame? B, vehicle. Should vehicle tracking be based on physical patterns and traffic data? Network C. Insider knowledge. Could we use insider information to find the person who knows the schedule and camera blind spots? We should only read the facts, ask objective questions, and absolutely not draw conclusions on behalf of the court. Because in Nancy Guthrie's case, what might have decided everything wasn't what the camera recorded, but what the mastermind behind it forced it to never be allowed to record. What is your choice? Please comment below.